So guys, hello to everyone who are listening to me. So, Alina Gakh, hello. Please write to me how it's voice, about volume and clear of voice. If everything is fine, we can start. So Lisa enjoyed to us. Hi Lisa. From what town are you? Please write. We will wait a couple of minutes for all spectators and then we'll start. Ah, Lisa, okay, I understood. We have met last week on the competition. Wait a couple of minutes. Hi Roxolana. So, Roxalana, please, can you write what town you are representing? And then we can start our webinar. So, okay, we haven't enough time, and I think we can start our webinar. Today's webinar, I will conduct that webinar. My name is Alexey Larionov. You know me very well, I hope so. I know you also. So, today's webinar will name the phone etiquette. It's very ancient training in our chain. I have provided training, I don't know, more than 30 times, something like this. And maybe you have already listened to this webinar, but today we will try to understand telephone etiquette through speaking English, something like this. It's very useful, especially the training will be useful for receptionists and the people who receive a lot of phone calls and I don't know, maybe make a deal through the phone. Also, we touch a little bit that theme. Okay, so our webinar will be near 1 hour, and it will be very interesting, and we will use through that webinar exactly English speaking, English phraseology and lexicon. So we will try to observe our checklist records through the phone etiquette. So let's start our webinar. The first step that I would like to talk with you, it will be history of etiquette, of phone etiquette. The first step was in France in the 17th century through the court of Ludovic XVI. There was a big reception of the court and the people, the guests, had received a small card with numerous theses and marks of their behavior, how they should behave themselves through that reception. So, and that small cards were named etiquette, and then they dispersed and shared through a lot of languages, and now we will know that very well, that definition. So, why it's so important? Why is telephone etiquette? The first thing, it's a first impression. Look at the slide now. The second phrase of Alan Pease. This is a famous writer and coach. I think you know it very well. So you will never have a second chance, make a first impression, and it's true. So in my training, I always asking spectators about the time when the guest receive a first impression of our chain. So. And a lot of students answered me that the first impression a guest receive from when he arrived to the reception, and it's false. Actually, in many firms, in many businesses, the first impression are forming through the first phone call, and the impression depends how the phone receiver, the telephonist, the receptionist can politely receive that call. And I think that every one of you have a bad experience with phone etiquette. I don't know, maybe some companies like Ukr-Telecom or Vodafone or Kyivstar, when you want to solve some problem, you have a great disappointment dealing with the receptionist from the other side of the wire. And it's frustrating because sometimes your interlocutor haven't known any thesis, any point of phone etiquette as well. They can be rude or something like this, and then you just change the company, change the businesses, change your preference to avoid this experience gain. So also we should point that nothing costs us so cheaply and not valued as much as politeness. Actually, it's very useful. It's a very useful phrase because phone etiquette based on politeness. I think that understood, but actually, history of phone etiquette formed not from now, not from decades. It formed from invention of the phone. Actually, phone had used only for asking some people to create a business meeting. The businessmen from early 10th, 20th, 30th year from the 20th century not dealt the negotiation through the telephone, because you can see your interlocutor and you not believing him through the wire. So nowadays we have another situation. The phone became common, and you can negotiate a contract or making deals through the through the phone as well. It's very useful now. So, and actually etiquette also will help you to negotiate a contract, or receive a phone call, make a reservation, and so on. So now we take a look about the definition of the etiquette, of the telephone etiquette. Etiquette is an established order or set of rules governing human behavior in certain situations of social interaction, including when conducting phone conversation. Okay, what is a telephone conversation? Telephone conversation is like dialogue. I always teach my students and spectators on my trainings, our receptionists and records, only one thing. I always say to everyone only one thing: dialogue is like a ball game. So, and through the dialogue, the guest who want to make a reservation in your hotel, maybe, or dealing with some other tasks, he shouldn't ask you any question. So what does it mean? If the guest asking you a question, you should answer on this question, and then answer on this question and ask him again your question. Then the guest should answer on your question, and then the main thing you should do, don't wait. You should again ask another question, which you have on your checklist, and do not give any chance to guest ask his question, because if he receive I don't know how to say, possibility to ask a question again and again, your telephone call will extend 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because sometimes guests have so much questions, and I have bad experience when I was working in small hotel. In 2008, I have received a phone call from the Donetsk, and the guest wanted to make a reservation in our hotel, and he started to ask me a lot of various questions about weather, about football games, about I don't know, about monuments and so on. But I have already a lot of another task that I should done in that time, and I lose that time, and I clearly understood that if I will not return my advantages of the conversation, if I will not start to ask him a question that I need, I will extend our conversation half an hour, something like this, and it's ridiculous. So that's mean you should always have an advantages of asking a question. So each guest question is followed by your answer and the counter question. I caught the ball and let it go to the partner. So in ideal situation, you always asking a guest a question and the guest only answer you. And you will save your time for another task, for dealing with another task. Okay, it's also you need to train using a checklist and your experience that you have gained before. It is possible to play alone. We get monologue and a loss. So, and also telephone conversation, also telephone etiquette has a goal existence. How do you think? Please write to me now. How do you think? What goal persuade a telephone etiquette? Please write now in the chat. What is the goal of the telephone etiquette? I give you 1 minute to think. So nobody want to answer me about my question. Repeat, please. Okay, Alina, I will repeat my question. What is the goal, the aim, the target of the telephone etiquette? It's very simple. I'm already said that previously in preamble of my training. So nobody? To be kind and polite. Yes, something like this. But it is a side effect to be polite. Side effect. Okay. Now I give you an answer. It's a create a positive impression of the company. This is the goal of the telephone etiquette. This is the main goal, to create a positive impression. You can answer a guest, okay, I'm a party, what do you want from me? Something like that, something like this. And in the other thing, you can ask, Oh, hi, my name is Lisa. I enjoy to help you. It's two example of two reason approaches. The first will never make a positive impression from the guest, and the second approach will always make a positive impression. Okay. With help of what we will create a positive impression? Of course, courtesy, positive attitude, and professional approach to the needs and wishes of the guest. I would like to ask you another question. How do you think, what is the synonym of the adjective courtesy? How do you think, what behave will be synonym of adjective courtesy? Please write into chat. In Russian, it will be courtoisность. No ideas. Oh, come on. Community. No, not community. Courtesy is something other. Something other. You have already the answer. Alina already wrote this. To be kind and to be polite. That means courtesy. Okay. Comment. Yes. Yeah. Or commitment. Something like this. Commitment. Commitment to the guests. Okay. Yes, good. Okay. Let's see what we have the next. Sorry. Okay. Goals when communicating with the guest by phone. Okay. Also, you have a goal from the telephone call, not from etiquette, but from the goal, from the call. Okay. And the main goal of the call of the calls. Of all calls is receive and give all the necessary information to the guest, or plan on event, arrange the meeting, or reserve a room, or negotiate a contract, or give another information, something like this. This is the goal of call, and we should differ the goal of telephone etiquette. Okay, it's again, it's creation of positive attitude to a company, and in the other side we have goals of phone. It's give or receive necessary information. And when you combine this, unite these things, you have a great telephone call, and you are a great employee. Okay, the task of successful telephone conversation. Listen carefully to ask a question and speak with the guest. Okay, we have listen carefully. Inattention to telephone conversation can lead to misunderstanding and underestimating the importance of the problem, wrong decision, and providing incorrect guest information, and always misinterception of certain comments. I always give an example that was in a hotel Reykjavik Dnipro in 2013 or 2012, I forgot. Okay, we have one happens that one guest have a reservation call. He asked a receptionist, do you have a 50 free rooms on the 1st of November? Okay, and the receptionist answered him, yes, we have. Okay, So the guest asked for their discounts and also asked to send him an amount of all available rooms. Okay, we understood this. Porter have pulled down the phone, hang off, and then starting to wait. After a few weeks, another porter, which had working on the reception, working at 8 p.m., dealing with current tasks, and seeing that 50 people are coming to him, but all hotel already was full. I mean, they have already 100% occupation on that evening. And the leader of a group asking, hey, we have a reservation in your hotels, we have 50 rooms, can you accommodate us? And scared receptionist answer him that, oh my God, we haven't any free rooms for you. So, why that situation had happened in that hotel? Because receptionists haven't listened the guest carefully. The guest, when he telephoned from the first time a few weeks ago, had think that he had already booked all that rooms. You understand? And that is ridiculous. The party shouldn't give that information. But okay, he haven't shown this information. What should the party have deal with that situation? He should to give the guest information that is not a reservation confirmation. Yes, he can send the list of free available rooms, but it's not a confirmation of reservation. Yes, and this is a misinterception of certain comments. Okay, the next, what you should do, ask any questions. Yes, obtaining the necessary additional information, listen carefully to the answer on your question. Time is the most important factor on any telephone conversation. Avoid pouring water in negotiation and make the best use of time, summarizing and clarifying the information received. Example of summation. The meeting should take place in the lobby at the Tuesday on 14:30, something like this. So, asking the questions: why, who, where, when, how, and so on. Now we will see a small video. It's how to say, it's more reliant or relevant type of our checklist in Rakers. As for my mind, I think that some reason and some theses that that man will say to us can be approached for our checklist. And after the watching the video, I will ask you one question. So let's see the video. Let's watch the video.
We're now ready to take control of the call by asking the investigative questions. But let's first look at what today's callers don't want to hear, especially if they've already been online or if they're online while they're on the phone.
Honey, I'm gonna put the kids to bed now.
Okay, dear, kiss them again for me.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling award-winning City Center Hotel. This is Eeyore. How may I assist you?
Yes, I'm trying to plan a surprise weekend for my wife and I to get away from the kids, and I needed some help, please.
Okay, when is it? How many nights? How many people?
Just the two of us?
Okay, I have a non-smoking double for $125 and a king for $150. You want to book it?
Unfortunately, that's what I all too often hear these days when I randomly call companies and hotels that apparently think that voice reservations is a dying distribution channel. Now, let's take a look at what else today's callers don't want to hear.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling City Hotel. This is Jennifer. How may I assist with your travel plans today?
Hello, this is Ben Johnson. I'm going to be in town next Tuesday and I need to check some rates for a hotel.
Certainly, Mr. Johnson. I can assist you with that. That's next Tuesday, the 29th of this month, correct?
That's right.
And how many people?
Just myself.
Have you stayed here before?
No, this is my first time.
And are you traveling on business or leisure?
I'll be there for an interview, but I'll be stuck at the hotel for most of the time.
Okay, well then let me tell you a little bit about the hotel. Since you are traveling on business, you will enjoy having wireless internet. We also offer a complimentary newspaper and a pool for you to relax after a long day. Our rooms feature an iron, ironing board, and hairdryer and coffee maker. Would you prefer a king or 2 double beds? Good afternoon. Thank you for calling City Hotel. This is Jennifer. How may I assist with your travel plans today?
Hi, Jennifer. I'm going to be there next Friday for about 3 nights, and I'm just trying to check some prices.
Certainly, I can assist you with that. So that's next Friday, the 2nd of this month, correct?
Yes.
How many people?
It's going to be my husband and my 2 kids.
And have you stayed here before?
No, actually, it's going to be my first time.
Are you traveling on business or leisure?
We're going to be there for the citywide music festival that's coming up.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me tell you a little bit about the hotel. Since you are here on leisure, you will enjoy wireless internet. We also offer a complimentary newspaper and a pool for you to relax after a long day. Our rooms feature an iron, ironing board, and hairdryer and coffee maker. Would you prefer a king or 2 double beds?
That type of reservation sales process might have worked in the late 1990s and the early 2000s when hotels were implementing nifty new features such as internet, in-room coffee, and flat panel TVs. But in today's environment, it is simply not compelling. It does nothing to differentiate your product from the competition. In listening to real calls these days, I have never once heard a caller react and say, "You have internet? Really? And I can make coffee in my guest room? That's incredible." Instead, I hear most callers politely enduring this feature list. Others might even interrupt and say, "Thank you, but I actually don't need to hear all that. I really just wanted to double check the rate." So instead of asking only those most basic questions and then launching into our scripted sales pitch, we first need to ask the right questions. Now, of course, we need to still ask what I call the mandatory or the inventory search questions in order to check availability in our reservation system. This typically is going to include the arrival and departure dates, always reconfirming that day of week and date of month, the number of adults and children. Especially if you're a leisure destination, you always want to ask for the ages of the children as well. We need to also ask about the bedding and the room configuration. And we still need to ask those important questions we had to ask back in the 1990s to determine their level of familiarity and the reason for their travel. So, have you stayed with us before? And may I ask what brings you to the area are still important. If you work at a remote, leisure-only destination, you might want to replace what brings you to the area with, "Are you celebrating anything special while you're here with us?" But these days, regardless, we must push on with one vital question. As I'm checking those dates, are there any questions I can answer for you about our location and our amenities? This question will help you determine if they're interested about information about the overall experience, or perhaps if they have a specific question, or if they simply want to double check the rates and fees.
So, okay guys, I think you have enjoyed this video. And so I have one question for you. How do you think, what feature we can include or exclude from our checklist of reservation right now that was in video? How do you think? Please write in the chat. I repeat the question. What feature from this video we can exclude or include on our checklist of reservation in records right now? Try to think. If you have listened carefully, I think you know the right answer. So nobody? Okay, I think I should answer on this question myself. I think that I thought our checklist is maxed full. Yes, Alina, you correct, but I have one thing that we can exclude, not include, exclude from our checklist. As for my mind, our checklist a little bit ancient in one thing. I think that we can exclude right off when we're saying to the guest we have an internet. Actually, in nowadays, a lack of hotel having an internet connection. Maybe this point should be staying for hotel for exactly resorts, something like Aquadar in Mankivka or Poliana in Poliana or Karpaty or sunny Provence. In that hotels, receptionist should tell about the internet. That internet include in price, but actually in business hotel, it's a waste of time to say the guest that we have an internet. I think it's not necessary. And also the taxes. Taxes also VAT. Also always include in accommodation. There is no big hotels in our country that not included VAT in the account. Okay, moving the next. Now I want to talk to you about checklist. Our checklist in records, and we will try to observe and analyze it more carefully. Okay, the first thing that you should do, it's pick up the phone up to in 10 seconds. If you didn't that, you should apologize to the guest, say something like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the waiting. My name is Elizaveta. I'm working in Zaporozhye, or I'm porter of Zaporozhye. How can I help you?" And also say the good day. The next, You should welcome the interlocutor with a good day, evening, Hotel X. My name is X, and how can I help you? It's a standard phraseology, but it's very important. You shouldn't exclude any phrase, any word from that sentence, because a lot of our towns have more than one Records hotel in the town, okay? And sometimes the guest can misdirect and arrive to another hotel. I will give you an example. In Kryvyi Rih, city Kryvyi Rih, we have 3 hotels, and very often the guests are arriving to another hotels. For example, they have a reservation in Ratso Hotel Kryvyi Rih, but they arrive into the Optima or Aurora Kryvyi Rih because of they tell the taxist to, hey man, can you deliver me to the Records hotel? But the taxis know only 1 or 2 hotels, not 3, and can misdirect and deliver the guest to the wrong hotel. Okay, and also I want to tell you that the phrase "how can I help you" also very important, because in the start of the training I have tell you that you always should ask a question during the phone dialogue, and the guest always should answer you and not asking questions to you. So its phrase can help you to ask the first primary question. So, is the phone connection should be clear? Is the phone connection was clear? I'm so sorry, it's mistake in translation. Is the phone connection was clear? You can have a huge volume of noise because of housekeeper cleaning by duster the floor in the lobby, or some kind of guests are loudly speaking, or other staff speaking loudly, and this is very important because the man or the guest can misunderstood you because of bad phone connection, like a something like this, and some of the words can be clear, can be heard not so clearly. The employee didn't redirect call without necessity. So it's very common mistakes when a receptionist is so busy but not so busy to receive a reservation or to obtain a reservation. But in some situation you can redirect a phone call to central reservation, which locates in Cherkasy, or on your second phone, for example, I don't know, maybe your general manager, and if he have enough time right now, maybe he can obtain the reservation from the guest. Okay, the employee had asked the interlocutor about the fact of previous lodging in your hotel. That will help you to make pre-reservation card before arriving of the guests. The employee had asked the first and last name of the interlocutor using a spelling if it's needed, if it was needed. It's also very important because no one likes the mistakes in their first or last names. It's very irritating. Okay, the employee had asked the arrival and departures date of the interlocutor. It's very important because we have a lot of situations when guests arrive earlier of the check-in time, for example, at 10 a.m. and starts I don't know, speaking so loudly and irritating that no one had told them about late arriving and additional payment for early arriving, and also that situation can happen with late departure. The employee has specified quantity of arrival adults and children. Only if the man says that I will be alone, only in that case you shouldn't ask them, will you have children with you? The employee has specified the reason for the visit, business and or vacation. It's very important because now we have a tourist tax. You know it very well. If that is vacation, in some region of the Ukraine, the city's government have posted the very big amount of the tourist tax, near more than 200 hryvnias. It's very irritating the people. The employee asked permission to interrupt the phone call. It was needed. Okay. The employee had offered 3 various room categories on available dates and had described their benefits, use upselling. So we are making money in hotel, and always you should strive to sell more expensive rooms because there are benefits, and also you have use a method choice without choice. When you give 3 examples of the room, for example, standard, superior, or I don't know, deluxe or luxe or apartments, and you should, in that case, you should describe the benefits exactly from the highest rated category that you have proposed. The employee had informed interlocutor about taxes, breakfast, internet, and etc. Actually, we already observed it, but nowadays we have that line on our checklist. But as for my mind, it's no needed. The employee had informed the guest about special offer during the conversation. A lot of people on the training ask me what does it mean, because they haven't that special offers. Actually, that was our experience of 5 or 4 years ago in Records, when we have a special offers. If the guest make a reservation for 2 days, they have received 1 day for free, something like this. Special offers. The employee have specified the prices of chosen room. Yes. The employee have specified the guest preferences according to the chosen rooms. The employee had informed the guest about departure and arrival time and asked him an arrival time. It's very important for housekeeping department because they can clean all the dirty rooms in 1 hour. They always have a schedule for cleaning, and if you will not give that information, they can create that schedule. The employee had suggested a transfer to the guests. Okay. The employee had informed the guest about additional services and had suggested pre-book them. It's very important because sometimes we haven't any free tables in our restaurants. For example, we have that situation in Nikolaev or Stumare, for example, in Cherkasy, because restaurants are so popular that they haven't any free tables, and the guest will be very disappointed if he will haven't any possibility to have a dinner or supper. The employee have repeated reservation details and total room price. It's very important. You have telling him a total price because including tourist tax. It's very important. The employee had asked the guest about additional guest requests before hang off the phone. So, can I help you something else? Can I do for you something else, or something like this, because some of our employees haven't asked that question, and they after a few minutes they will receive another call and the guest will ask that question anyway. The employee had thanked the guest for a call. It's a courtesy. It's courtesy as ability of the employee. So that's what we're talking about, the telephone etiquette. So I'm very thankful to you that you are calling and choose our company, something like this, and then said bye. The employee had waited when the guest hung off the phone. It's very important because sometimes you are so busy that you are not waiting and hang off the phone, and for the moment when you are hanging off the phone, the guest can ask you some question or some phrase or something else, and oh, sorry miss, beep 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 beep, and well, this is very disappointing, and you should be prepared that you will receive another call after few minutes. And the employee had called the guest by name at least one time. Actually, it will be better if you if you called the guest 3 or 4 times during the dialogue. Okay, upselling. How you can deal with upselling? You should know the benefits of the room, and you don't sell the good, but you sell the profit. I have a couple of reasons for you on that webinar. For example, you have 2 kind of rooms, 2 category of rooms. For example, classic and standard. In classic room, you have I don't know, a standard kit, bed, TV station, and the shower. Okay, shower. But in the standard room you have a bath. You can sell the profit and say something like this: if you will make a reservation for standard room, you will have a great leisure, a great relax in its bath. But if you will make a reservation for the classic, you will have only the shower. You do not sell the shower or bath. You sell the relax. Understood? It's very, very important. And you can use that technique for all kinds of goods. It can be conference hall, it can be rooms, it can be breakfast, or something like this, and so on. And also you should be positive, because it's very important, because when you dealing with the guest by phone, all his senses are directed on that phone. When you speak with somebody by phone, you clearly directed on the timbre of the voice. You can even direct a lie. When somebody lying by the telephone, you can hear that clearly than tete-a-tete conversation, face-to-face conversation. Okay, speak with the guest. You should always control the speed, the sound level, intonation, and the statement as well. So, what about speed? Okay, you should always use the speed which use your interlocutor. Now, if the interlocutor speaks very fast, you also speak very fast. If he speaks slowly, you also speak slowly, because it's convenient for the guests. Okay, what also you should do with the phone etiquette if you working at the front desk? Listen carefully to the sound of the door opening. Ask the guest or caller or for permission to put him on standby. And don't forget about the interlocutor after conversation. I think that is very, very useful. Okay. Also, during the phone call, you should smile and stay positive. Every guest can feel this. Also, I want to say you about principles of reference and constructive dialogue. We have two principles here. The first principle is feedback. I think you at least one time in your life had such situation when you are speaking with the guest a long time, and your speech, you speaking and speaking, maybe 1 minute or 1.5 minutes without interruption, without any interruption. And after that, after finish your long speech, you can say, hello, are you here? Or something like this. So the principles of feedback, it's interrupt yourself or interrupt your interlocutor with some phrases like yes, understood, thank you, I understood, clear, yes, something like this. That show to your interlocutor that you are still online. So, and also you should use the summary technique. During the long phone call, we have sometimes long phone calls. The duration can be 4 or 15, 10 minutes, something like this, and the guest can forget the information which was at the start of the dialogue. And you should summarize all the information at the end of the speech. So, what you should to avoid: phone ring more than 3 times. Eat or drink during the telephone conversation. It's awful, guys. Talk familiarly. Have a conversation in parallel with someone. Or it's very common mistakes when some housekeeper during your receiving a reservation asking you, hi Masha, give me something, or tell me how many people will arrive today, I need that information, and she asking you during the reception of reservation. It's irritating because the guest always listening its information. You should avoid to be in noisy place at the time of conversation. Sometimes you should ask a crowd or your employee which are around you to behave themselves a little bit quieter. Speak too loud or too quiet. Speak too fast or too slow. That's all you should to avoid during the phone calls. Okay, sorry guys. Now we have time for explaining your home tasks. But before I will give you a home task, I want to listen. Maybe you have some question about our webinar, about, I don't know, using with a checklist, or about question about today's theme, about etiquette. You can now ask me through our chat, and I will try to answer you. I thought our checklist is maxed full. No question, thanks. Okay guys, now I will explain your home task. After the training, you will receive from Alina, I think it will be achievable during the time when you again listen the presentation. Now your home task will be analyzing a phone call. I will play a couple of minutes of that call, but full time of that call you will listening when you again starting the presentation. Okay, your task will be write to me what kind of mistake had the receptionist during the reception of the reservation from the guests. Okay, now I will play 1 minute of that phone.
Доброго дня, готель Рейкарс Харків, порт Літно. Чим можу вам допомогти?
Hello, I wanna make a reservation.
All right, thank you. How can I refer to you by name?
Evgenia.
All right, Evgenia, can you please tell me which day you plan to come to us?
Yeah, it's from 15 to 17 of November, please.
From 15 until 17, right?
Okay, guys, this phone call will be available a little bit later, and you should write to me your reception of that call, which mistake had receptionist, and did she have and touch the phone etiquette at all. Okay, I think that the home task is clear, it's completely understood, and if you have an additional questions about home task, you can call me directly by my number and I will explain again. Okay, so thank you very much for today that you're coming today on my webinar. I think we will see again in a couple of weeks or in the November. Okay guys, thank you very much. Bye bye.